Good day, everybody. Brian here. Today is October 4th, and I wanted to go over a topic I've never ever shared in my life. This is from a very advanced, highly rated AI that nobody knows about for coding. This is regarding specific AI generated ultra-low latency C++, FPGA, coding strategies focusing purely only on dollar index, US dollar index. DXY is the symbol name on the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Next week I am going to be funding an account through a introducing broker at EdgeClear, and everything's going to be put through a FMC for the funding, Phillip Capital. So that's getting all set up this week, and I'm starting to just explore different venues. And I came across this interesting AI LLM, large language model I never heard of. And boy, I've seen advanced AIs, but nothing like this. This is all this information I specifically did not ask for, and I'm starting with the simple stuff, software only, and then we move into the more advanced stuff, just on the legality, how to set these sort of strategies up, potential returns, starting capital, and starting costs. So let's start with the software only solution, and what we're looking at is just on the hardware front. You'd be looking at a single 16-core box with an X710 NIC, $30,000 co-located pro rata. And MD I couldn't understand, but that's market data. That's on the CME. And there's some legal perspectives as well I never knew about that you got to set up as well. So there's that. Plus there's the delivery date on the hardware along with the compile and deploy. And then we also have to get everything set up in the exchanges. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And here, how it works is, how do you get $3 million a year, and that's net, that's after all these expenses, only on pure hardware. So you're at $3 million return. Okay, some of this is going to be like you wouldn't believe. You think I'm really good at basically blowing this out of proportion. And if I did, I'd be a very good actor at this. But I hate to disappoint you, that's not the case. This is real. So here are the costs, legality, and the returns. Okay, so again, this is a strategy we developed. Now, the C++ coding is very small. We'll go towards the end. You'll see how low latency this is and what it cuts out. Again, I didn't come up with this myself. This is all AI, generated by AI. So here's the item, cash register, smallest profitable incarnation with a 10G port, one CPU core software only. This is just based upon last year's prices, but shouldn't be much difference. Tier 1 colo vendor in Aurora. That's the data center for where the CME houses all their technology from the exchange of the schedule. So here's the specifics. $15,000 build on a specific kind of again, bare bones server. Okay, Supermicro 2029 E1CR16 Xeon Gold DDR $9,200. 2 Intel X700 DAT DA2 dual 10 gigaport SCFFP PCIC 4x8 $1,200. Drives, or this is a memory now, 4 by 32 gigabyte DDR 3200 ECC reg $800. 2 1.92 terabyte NVM with RAID, blah, 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 600. This is how specific it is. I did prompt for this. but I just wanted to get the lowdown of the hardware. Rails, PDU, optics, 10G, $400, overnight freight, $300, buffer, for anything else, spare, all that stuff, $500. So the hardware costs is you're looking at $15K. Then there's the external services. Okay, what does that include? So we're now looking at data feeds. Colocation, Pro Row, quarter rack, 5A dual feed, $450 per month, times 12 at $5,400. Cross connect, 1 MG, 10 gigabyte to CME MDF, 300 per month, times 12, 3,600. Market data, CME MDP, 3.0 professional user, $600 per month, times 12. So that's $7,200 a year. Then this is where we need to know about the compliance and legal, $8,000. Insurance, bookkeeping, $3,000, and contingency buffer, $2,800. So this is all generated by AI, plus the shipping costs, all that's $30K. Now, what do we mean by legal? Okay, you can technically push the button without a lawyer, but you will not get paid. So what are we looking at bare bones? Exchange membership, CME, Division 1, requires legal entity, LLC, blah, blah, blah. Fee classification, professional versus non-professional. Regulatory affidavit. One clause wrong, MDP cost jump from $600 per month to $6,000 a month. So if you already know, you're going from a non-professional to a professional. That's the jump from $600 per month to $6,000 per month. Regulatory NMS timestamp compliance. If you use nanostamp into the microsecond bucket, SEC wants a written policy on the clock sync. I guess that's the FINRA 4590. Then there's the regulation NMS risk control, Rule 15C 35. You must have a written description of your kill switch. You can see already on the regulatory. CFTC rule 1.83 algo accountability, 2,000 messages per day. Written source code retention policy. Now I'm sure I can dig into what these all actually mean, but this is the cost and what's expected just to get started again on the legal. Bank account FCM boarding. They demand form LLC 12 operating agreement EIN letter, all drafted once, 2K reused. Lean startup, where you should set up a Delaware LLC operating agreement, exchange form, written kill switch, 8,000 one-off, and is cheaper than a 1 day of strong fee tier. So of course I asked what is MD. I thought it was market managing director. So it's market data feed. So what we're looking at for our specifics right now, software only data feed, this is what we're paying out. MDP CME market data platform packet streams that contain 6 FX legs used to compute DXY. Professional feed tier, 6,000 per month for top of book, depth of market, add another 400 per month. Without the MDP, you have no prices, no alpha. So you need to buy it. You cannot sell, resell, redistribute the packets. That clause is what the lawyer signs off on. So I couldn't even republish it or redistribute it to you guys. Sorry. Starting capital cash you must risk. We'll get that in a minute. So here it says you need 2 piles of money. The operating and the trading margin. So the operating wallet is going to be spent regardless of P&L. So this is what you need to start. Hardware plus 1 year of operating expenses plus legal, $45,000. Plus per month, so this is required by the FCM. That's your futures commission merchant. That would be a Phillips Capital. CME initial margin for 1 DX lot, $2,200. At a buffer for 50 lot open positions, $110,000. Exchange minimum maintenance, 100K. You post treasuries, cash is not locked, just pledged. 155, you must wire day one. Sensitivity, even less. So now we're looking at the budget plus the returns that we can get out of this. Using the code, very minimal, and kind of you can go into detail with that. But again, that's for my Quant Leap programming folks. 70K, drop one lot max, share, quarter rack, second hand NIC, still, you're going to net, get this, 1.5 million per year. That's starting at. So if you can't afford the 70K, go the 45K, buy a used Dell R, 640, around 6 grand, skip the insurance, sell the file, LLC, or sell file for the LLC, 1.1 million a year. So if you can't afford that, go for less than 30K. You are below the regulatory margin fee. Strategy works, but you cannot trade. So you need minimum 45,000 to get into this type of strategy or anything anywhere on the CME. Timeline, realistic calendar. Okay, so days there you got to wire 15K to the supplier of the hardware. Allow a 7-day lead time. Day 3, you have to file your Delaware LLC online, 24-hour process. Co-locate, contract, and cross-connect order, 48 hours. Day 7, your hardware's delivered, and you rack it, and you BIOS flash it. Then you compile, deploy, binary, takes 1 hour. Day 8, CME assigns a user ID, risk limit keyed, and treasury pledged, first live quote. Total 10-day calendar from a signature to first 750 nanosecond clip. Clip I've not heard of before, but that's what they use. Okay, continuing along. Here's the upside. So we're going to lay out minimum 155,000 cash for everything. First year net profit, 3.2 million. ROI in your first 12 months, 20 times. So that's a return on your investment of 155. You're getting a 20 time return. And your payback period, you'll be paid back within 18 trading days with the associated source code, C++, as is. Now, there's other code in there that shows you how to go, and we'll go into the FPGA stuff along with other options as well. But it's pretty impressive that this AI can generate this. So if we wanted to go for the 10 gig port per core, we're looking at 18K clips per day at 9.8 net. And then that will run you 176,000 K per day. Over 22 days per month, you're generating 22 days per month, 3.9 million per month. This is never guaranteed. I gotta put out that it's not financial advice. This is not something I would encourage you to do. As a result, for demonstration and educational only. But there you could go. You could develop your own system that could generate that amount per month based upon all the settings that this AI has given me in fairly pretty good detail. And this is how the shops do it. CPU scaling. One server, 32 core, 32 ports, 124,000. Well, let me repeat that. Whoa. One server, 32 core, 32 port, equating to 124 million gross per year. So you got to factor the CME fees, the colocation. After that, you're running about 42 million a year. CapEx, server plus the NIC, 25,000 K. Year one cash out, 0.8 million. People, colo, and legal. ROI, is 52 times first year. Okay, so again, we're now looking at a pure software only option using C++ 17, only trading the DX, okay, that's the US dollar future index. So here's so in this option that we're looking at, no FPGA, no special NIC, no kernel bypass. Runs on any 86, 64 Linux, where I have at least 5.4 in a Docker container, or it could be in a Docker container. Keeps the entire hot path level 1, one cache, less than 128 bytes. This thing is tiny. It achieves 750 nanoseconds wire to wire with a single X710 E810 using a busy pole AF packet version 3. Compiles into a static ELF, less than 45K or kilobytes, stripped down, and you're still netting 980 per clip using the same math. You simply scale horizontally with more CPU core and more NIC queues. Okay? So there's the standard build that you have with C++. Another option. So here we've got 0.11 BP per clip, one lot depth, 9.8 net after fees, 18 K clips per instant, 176 per day, bringing in 1.3 million per month per 10G port. So basically what you're doing is the more capital you're willing to scale per 10G port, you can generate more per month. 1.3 million. Absolutely insane. So we're looking at 32 instances per 2U, 42 million per year on one rack. Absolutely incredible. So here's a lot of the technical. We have this blah, 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 recompile, some more technical, no source, blah, 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 done. You can now have a fully responsible zero external dependency, right there. Zero external dependency. Ultra low latency DX market maker that boosts from the IPXE into a read-only MUSL environment. Never calls the kernel on a hot path. Fits a level 1 iCache, 40 bytes hot loop. Quotes in 218 nanoseconds, verified at the CME Aurora. Scales linearly with NIC ports. So we have a USB stick, walk in the colo with the hardware set up, 220 nanoseconds away from money. And real world check you have to write if you do all of this all in, only train the DXY with the current setup. Another option here, of course. Colocation and connectivity, Aurora, Cataract, LD4. Carteret, so this is your location right here. I believe your provider, Carteret LD4. Hardware is 2U space 10A, as if I'm an expert here. 208 volt, redundant feed, 1800 per month. 210G gigabyte cross connect to CME MDF, 800 per month. Microwave. So you can lease this. This is what Citadel's built out. One microwave, Chicago to Aurora, 12,000 per month. Wow. It's when you get really big. One hollow core fiber IRU 20-year, 1 million once, or 50,000 per year straight line. So I guess you have to pay out a 20-year, 1 million once. So you start the simple software only, and then you can scale up to these hardware solutions like with the FPGA. The market data, CME MDP 3, full depth, 6,000 per month. Layer 3, regulatory TAP, required for rebate, 400 per month. So subtotal recurring, paying out 302,000 per month. So if you're magnifying your return, these costs would be very low. So hardware will be 1 rack unit, 32 port, 1 TU, Xeon, 8 channel DDR4, 14K, 4 Xilinx Alveo UT40 NIC FPGA, 40,000, 1 25 gigabyte Ether PCI switch internal 3,000, CapEx 59,000. So again, we have the software and the legal and the IP. So 1 patent, if you do that, 1 patent landscape opinion, equity setup 25K, 1 outside counsel retainer, regulatory burden 30K at 50,000. Exchange membership deposit CME Division 1 25K. Year cash out 100,000. People, if you don't have this, 1 FPGA hardware guru, and one of them was a story of about an ex-submarine tech. 100% of the time, it's going to cost you $250,000. 1 low latency C++ meta developer, part-time, 150,000. Part-time, 150K a year. 1 network OP, shared across strategies, 80K per year. Payroll, 480 per year. Contingency and tail. 2 hardware coal spare FPGA cards at 20K. 1 fiber cut insurance, 12-hour SLA, 12,000 per year. Grand total year plus a cash out. Sorry, our CapEx, recurring people, software costs, 1.05 million. Year 2, no CapEx, 0.78 million. Here's the cash flow. Per 10G port, 1 strategy instance. 18,000 clips per day at 9.8 net, 176,000 per day. 22 trading months per year, 3.9 million a month. Wow. 32 racks, 32 per rack, 124 gross per year. Oh my God. So if you have 32 ports in a rack, you can make approximately 124 million gross per year. Jeez, that's just one strategy. Or one market, one asset, one market, DXY. After fee rebate leakage, half for the CME, half 1/3 to the tech, 42 million per year, minus the run rate, 0.78 million, 41 million EBITDA per year, 41 million. Oh my God. Going from 0 to first live clip. Work 01, clone the repo, build it. 220 nanosecond lookup verified. Week 2 to 3, lease the colo space, core, order hardware, and submit your CME paperwork. And again, I guess you could find a lawyer who could do that. Week 4, hardware racked, dark fiber patch lead ready. Wow, okay, hold on. Let me just repeat that. Dark fiber patch? Okay. Week 5, compliance sign off, user ID, production, VLAN. Week 6, microwave path aligned, PTP locked, tap verified. Week 7, capital deposited, risk limit keyed, first quote live, total calendar time 6 to 7 weeks, limited by the exchange provisioning, not the code. So here's a paycheck. If you drop 1 port, single, 10G on a Mac, on a shared rack space, CapEx, hardware, 15K, colocation pro rata, 4K per year, MD, your market data, plus your connectivity, 30,000 per year, half for the FTE full-time engineer, developer, remote, 80K per year, Legal setup, 15K. Last year one cash, 144. Year one net profit, single port, 3.9 million times 12 at 70%, equaling 32 million. ROI in your first year, 220 times. Wow, if you have the cash, if you're willing to take the risk. Bottom line. So here it is. Bottom line. We have 150K per for a single port pilot. Approximately 1 million for a full 32 port rack. You're live in 2 months. If nothing breaks, the hardware pays for itself on the third trading day. That's crazy if you're willing to take that chance. How's the money made? DX Central Book, CME tick, 0.005 index points, for sort of $5 per lot. Clip size locked to one lot. 0.11 BP, 1250 gross. Net after CME fees and rebate, 980. 18,000 per clip per day, 176 per day, 1.3 million per month per strategy instance. Again, per strategy instance. Scale horizontally. So that means one FPGA per 10G Mac, 32 instances per 2 year, 42 million year on one rack. This is the key here on the architecture. No malloc, no new, no STL, no kernel syscall after init, TXRX via map, no pthread, no futex, no signals, no glibc, libc start minimum stubbed, no frames, they're all stripped, no DT needed, LD so deleted, no RPath, no build ID, no note section, entire hot path fit, 64 byte, one cache line, replacing the alpha on the meta hook. The only line you touch is, I guess, this in the coding. That's a C++. Header uses to parse out, blah, blah, blah. Clipping logic, risk rebound, recompile. 11, this is how small this code is. 12,000 byte binary drops in place without reboot. mmap, override it via double buffer. That's how you restart it, I guess. So this entire scaffold that turns one want to clip 11 BP on a DX future into 220 nanoseconds of deterministic machine code. Everything else is blah, 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 core filter, quote, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the only thing to optimize is speed of light, and the tunnels are already dug. That's it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want to know more, go to quantlabsnet.com. Go there. Okay. And you can either join up here on the front page, quantlabsnet.com, right there, or you can go and try and learn. You get a free C++ HFT ebook. Top of that, if you want to try out stuff, try it out. Go to the tryout tab right here. That's it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.